Do not be surprised when you hear about the horrible judgment that is coming upon the state of Israel. I am warning you, this is coming, because it is impossible that the Lord will not judge such a wicked, perverted, and a God-hating government. So let me tell you what happened yesterday on Shabbat. After the Supreme Court and the Pikud Oref, what do you call that? The division of the military in charge of the civilian life, it's called Pikud Oref in Hebrew, whatever it is in English, declared no mass gatherings for more than 50 people. And so, the Western Wall, the Kotel in Jerusalem, where every year for Pesach thousands gather to pray, and the Kohanim, all the priests come to bless the people and make petitions and intercession, crying their hearts to the Lord for deliverance, for salvation. They limited that crowd to 50 people because it's too dangerous. We don't have enough shelters. If we have a siren, people will trample over one another. It's not safe. We can't allow all these people to come and pray. Well, so they limited the access to the Kotel. But then on Saturday, the Shabbat, the day when in Israel work is not permitted and government officials are not supposed to be working. They're not allowed according to the laws of the Jewish state. Israel is not a democracy, it is a Jewish state. And yet, the Supreme Court judges decided to convene on Shabbat and made a decision because there was some plans in godless Tel Aviv for some anarchists to form a protest. And so all of these godless secular judges got together on Shabbat and decided, let's overrule the instruction of the military and let's allow for 600 people to come up at this protest. Of course, we did it on Shabbat a few hours before the protest was scheduled, something that by itself is illegal for them to be working on Shabbat and make such, regulations and changes. But they did. And so, as you probably would expect, thousands showed up for the protest, not 600, which all in itself was a violation, but thousands showed up. And the police that were not supposed to be having to deal with it because of the situation, they have to be at home watching their own families being in the shelter. They had to now deal with this mass, with this mob of godless, heathenistic Jews in Tel Aviv that just wanted to ravage. And of course, it became violent. 17 people were arrested. One man, 50-something-year-old, died from a heart attack during a siren. Of course, there was a siren last night. Yemen decided to shoot a missile, and then everybody ran to the shelter, dispersed like rats jumping ship. And all of these cops had to risk their lives. Why? Because of all these godless Jews protesting the war as if they got something better to do? What are you protesting against? Don't you know that this war is for your own salvation? No, they just, stop the war, this is Bibi's war. No, this is the war of survival of Israel, because in case you did not know it, the Iranian people, the leadership, specifically the government, want to develop nuclear weapon to fire at you, dummies in Tel Aviv. They want to annihilate Tel Aviv, but I guess, you're on their side because you're so liberal and open-minded, your brains are gone. Then you're for the enemy, but of course you are, because you're haters of God, all of you. Godless Tel Aviv people, the most godless city in Israel. So they closed the Western Wall. People cannot come and pray, but they can go out and protest the government. Can you believe that? And they did that declaration on Shabbat. Of course, some of the main rabbis openly and protested, and some of them cursed them out and prayed against them, so the Lord will put them to death, these wicked judges, haters of God in the state of Israel. But I'm not surprised because I already know who all of these people are. I know how godless this country is because I live here. So don't tell me I'm anti-Semitic or anti-Jew. I am Jewish. I'm not anti-Jew. I'm anti-liberal, anti-secular, anti-godlessness. That's what I'm anti. I was out today, went for a little drive with my dad, and we got to some town up north. First we went to a Druze town. We were driving past. Of course, he wanted to stop and eat, and I said, I'm not eating anywhere here. It's Pesach. Nothing here is kosher. And then we went to another town that was Jewish. Well, Jewish is a relative term. Yes, the people, I guess, were of Jewish descent, but that place was even more godless than the Druze store. They had all kind of mysticism and statues of naked babies and that godless idol that they had at the Nova party. I told my dad, I'm out of here. I'm going out. I'm not staying here. This godless place. No. But listen, there's a reason why in Revelation it says there are 144,000. A remnant, because this is not going to go on for much longer. There's a remnant. Because you're just so gone. There's no reasoning with you. You've made up your mind. You haters of God. You do not want the Torah. You do not want holiness. You do not want to return to the God of your forefathers. You want to be sexually promiscuous. You want to be godless. You want to worship the gods of the East and the gods of the West and the gods of your own imagination. Go ahead. Knock yourself out. The Lord's judgment is coming. And you will bear the consequences of your choices, godless Israel. So, when you hear it on the news, don't be surprised. But here's the other side of this, because yes, the Jews are wicked, and yes, Israel has forsaken the Lord, but you're not the judge. So no matter what Israel does, you better support them. And that's where what do you call it, when the rubber meets the road, or when the catch hits the rub, or whatever it's called. If you curse Israel, you yourself will be cursed, because good or bad, we're still God's children. You're not. And anyone who blesses Israel will be blessed, and anyone who curses Israel will be cursed. Whether the Jews are righteous or not, that's not your problem. That's not your concern. The Lord will pay each man according to what their deeds deserve. But remember what he did to those who punished his children. Edom and Babylon and Ammon and all of these other nations that rejoiced at the destruction of Israel. They felt so righteous. The Lord put them to death too. And they suffered more, because the Lord might whip his child, but don't you get in the way. It's his children. He's going to discipline his children, not you. So you still better bless Israel, no matter what Israel does. That is if you want, or more accurately, if you do not want God's wrath on you. So, well, it's just the way it is. Like I said in the other message, it's going to get much worse before it gets better. So buckle up.
Well, Guy said, don't be surprised. Well, I'm not. As you hear what the people in Israel, particularly Tel Aviv, have abandoned the God that you Americans serve, the God that you're going to pretend you worship today on this godless pagan Ishtar Sunday. You hate Jesus so much you even have to pervert, pollute, and corrupt his day of resurrection by leaving his name out of it. This resurrection happened during the Pesach, during the Passover season. But you have to corrupt him. You just had to mention the devil goddess Ishtar on his day, on his birthday. Yeah, Christmas, which isn't really his birthday. You just have to mention Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Santa Claus and mistletoe and everything else that's centered around an evergreen tree that you are forbidden to put up in your house. But it doesn't matter, because you see, in Christianity, you are allowed to corrupt Jesus. You're allowed to pollute. You're allowed to even mess up his name. It's all allowed. In fact, if you would look down upon if you're not corrupting his name. How dare you say his name correctly? How dare you worship on the right day? How dare you honor the Sabbath? Christians struggle with just doing what, it's not like a man made it up or religious organization. No, they have no problem following the things that religious institutions make up in men. But if you start talking to any Christian about the Sabbath, about tithes and offerings, about faithfulness to God's Torah, and even about Jesus, Yeshua, by the way, his real name, even about Yeshua, they hate it all. And you can tell by the way they treat you, the way they talk. You can see what they value. Just come to America. Oh, my Lord. Sports. Remember Super Bowl Sunday, the day of their alleged worship. March Madness. All of their crazy sports and festivals. This is the most godless nation on the planet. And of course, just like in all of the scripture, they will hate anyone that talks like me. Anyone that says such a thing is looked upon with suspicion, especially the white Christians. The African-American Christians don't know half as much as what I'm saying. The white Christians know and have heard of a lot of it, but they reject it. You're going to be hated. And my poor, dear, nice, humble Mexican brothers, be careful if you don't have a cross around your neck or bow down in front of a statue called Guadalupe. And if you don't worship the goddess Mary, they turned her into a goddess statue. If you're not performing Catholic rituals, the Spaniards saw to it that the Mexicans got civilized into Catholicism. Oh, it's okay. The rest of you, well, we know who your God is. All I have to do is go to a liquor store to find your God, or a dispensary. You smoke your God, inject your God, snort your gods, and drink your gods. And for the remaining of you, it's on a beach with naked women, string bikinis, or some little goddess, Eastern mystic, siren coffee shop. And then you crazies dress up in furry suits, Comic-Cons, Burning Man, burning yourselves in the desert, and that darn rat called Mickey Mouse. And you think what? That you're going to escape God's judgment. You fools. It is so obvious that a blind man could see this, so you must be something much worse than a blind man. You are. It's called a reprobate. Your mind has been seared. The Lord have mercy. So don't be surprised when you hear that even in the Holy Land, they nearly limit the amount of people that can pray, but the ones that can protest, go for it. They did the same thing during COVID in America. Shut down the churches, but if you want to go in the street and scream and protest, go for it. Scream against anything that resembles order and God. Go for it. This country has no problem violating God's law. They give a license, and they have a woman on the Supreme Court named Jackson, who's insane. She doesn't even know that she's a woman. Yes, and these are the people that your Congress, that your Senate confirmed to lead you. Can you blame the insane woman on the Supreme Court, or the ones that put her there? you're going to have what you want. Maria Antoinette famously said, let them eat cake. Joshua says, if Baal serves your interests, go for it. As for me, we will serve the Lord. Yes, let them drink their poisons. Let them drown their lungs. Let them snort their powder. Let them mutilate their bodies and their genitals. Let them be. These monsters will face the judgment of God. You think you're going to escape God's judgment. You get to sin and do whatever you want and feel sorry for yourself and then tell God, oh, forget about it. I've got another thing for you. Not going to happen. But it makes no difference to tell you. Your ears are stopped that you cannot hear. Your eyes are so gone and scaled that you cannot see. And your mind's been turned into mush that you cannot comprehend. And you have a heart as black as coal.